One bed. Two people. I'm sorry. Sir, we only have one room left. The receptionist gave me an apologetic smile. I looked at the hotel confirmation on my phone. That can't be right. I booked a twin room. You did. Unfortunately, there was a plumbing issue on the 23rd floor. Several rooms had to be taken out of service. I lowered my voice. Then give us two separate rooms. We're completely sold out. My stomach sank. Beside me, Victoria Hale stood perfectly still. That was never a good sign. Victoria was the CEO of Hale Dynamics, the youngest chief executive in the company's 40-year history, and the kind of woman who could make a conference room go silent just by setting down a pen. She was 31, elegant, brilliant, terrifying, and unfortunately, I had been secretly in love with her for almost 2 years. The receptionist continued, "We can upgrade you to our executive suite." I almost relaxed. Then she added, "It has one king bed." I closed my eyes. Of course it did. I turned toward Victoria. She was wearing a black tailored coat over a cream blouse. Her dark hair pinned neatly behind one ear. After 3 hours on a delayed flight, she still looked more composed than most people did after professional makeup. Except now, her expression was strange. Not angry, not cold, something else. "Ms. Hale," I said quickly, "I'll take the sofa." The receptionist coughed. "The suite doesn't have a sofa bed." "Then I'll sleep in the chair. There is a chaise lounge." "Perfect." Victoria finally spoke. "You booked the room?" "Yes." Her voice remained calm. "You specifically booked 2 beds?" I blinked. "Yes." Something flickered across her face. Disappointment? Impossible. I glanced at the receptionist. "Can we see the room first?" "Of course." 10 minutes later, we stood inside a suite overlooking downtown Chicago. The room was enormous. Glass windows, marble bathroom, dining table, a desk large enough to hold a board meeting. And in the center of the bedroom, one very large bed. I placed my suitcase near the wall. "I'll take the chaise." Victoria didn't answer. I turned. She was standing beside the bed. Her fingers lightly touched the edge of her coat. "Daniel." "Yes?" She looked at me. For the first time since I joined Hale Dynamics. Victoria Hale looked nervous. Actually nervous. Her cheeks were faintly pink. "Why are you acting like this is a disaster?" I stared. "Because you're my boss." "I know. And we're sharing a room. I can also see that. And there is one bed." She glanced at it, then back at me. "Yes." I waited. She didn't. Instead, she asked quietly, "Didn't you say you liked me?" Every thought left my head. "What?" Her cheeks became noticeably redder. "You heard me." My heart began pounding. Victoria folded her arms. 3 months earlier, at the Hale Dynamics annual party, I had made the worst mistake of my professional life. I had gotten drunk. Not falling over drunk. Worse, honest drunk. I had been standing outside the ballroom with my friend Marcus when I told him, if she weren't Victoria Hale, I'd ask her out tomorrow. Marcus laughed. "You wouldn't." "I would." "No. You'd stare at her for 6 months and then help her organize spreadsheets." "I like her." "You're drunk." "I've liked her for almost 2 years." I remembered those words. I also remembered seeing Victoria walk past the corridor 10 minutes later. But I had convinced myself she hadn't heard. Apparently, I had been catastrophically wrong. "You heard that?" Victoria looked away. "Yes." "How much? All of it?" I wanted the floor to open. All. I rubbed both hands over my face. "I'm resigning." Her head snapped toward me. "What?" "Not tonight. After the client meeting." "Daniel, I'll finish the project first." "Stop." "I am so sorry." "For liking me?" "For saying it at a company event." She stared at me. "That is not the same thing." "I know. But, did you mean it?" The question stopped me. Victoria's voice had changed. No CEO tone. No command. Just a woman standing 3 feet away. Waiting. I looked at her. "Yes." She swallowed. "Then why have you spent 3 months acting like nothing happened?" "Because you were Victoria Hale." "Because I was a senior strategy manager whose entire annual salary was probably smaller than one of the acquisition decisions she made before lunch." "Because every time she walked into a room, people with twice my experience sat straighter." "Because attraction was one thing. Ruining my career was another." I thought pretending was the respectful option. Her eyebrows lifted. "Respectful?" "Yes." "To whom?" I didn't have an answer. Victoria looked toward the window. Then she laughed softly. I had heard her laugh maybe 6 times in 2 years. "Never like that." "You're unbelievable." "That has been suggested." She took off her coat. "I'll use the bathroom first." I nodded too quickly. "Of course." At the bathroom door. She paused. Daniel. Yes? She looked back. You're still sleeping on the chaise. I exhaled. Thank God. A tiny smile appeared. Then she closed the door. I stood alone in the suite. My pulse was still racing. 30 seconds later. My phone buzzed. Marcus. How's Chicago? I typed. Victoria heard everything I said at the annual party. His reply came immediately. You're dead. I looked toward the bathroom. Then another message appeared. Wait. Why are you telling me this at midnight? I typed. We have one bed. 3 dots. Then, you are definitely dead. From behind the bathroom door. Victoria called. Daniel? Yes. Who are you texting? I froze. Marcus. What did you tell him? Nothing. A pause. Then, you're a terrible liar. And for the first time that night, I wondered whether the wrong room might not be the worst problem we had. Chapter 2. The ice-cold CEO has a secret. I woke at 5:47 a.m. With a cramp in my neck. The chaise lounge had been designed for decoration, not survival. I sat up carefully. Victoria was already awake. She stood by the window in a gray silk robe, holding a cup of coffee. I immediately looked away. Morning. Morning. You snore. I looked back. I do not. You do. No one has ever told me that. Maybe no one wanted to hurt you. I stared at her. She took a sip. There was the faintest trace of amusement in her eyes. This woman had terrified 3 vice presidents into rewriting a forecast last week. Apparently, she also enjoyed psychological warfare before sunrise. You sleep well? I asked. Very. Good. You? I looked at the chaise. She followed my gaze. For 1 second, guilt appeared. You could have taken the bed. With you? Her ears turned pink. Interesting. No. She said quickly. I'm in instead of me. I'm not making my CEO sleep on a decorative bench. Stop calling it decorative. It has 6 pillows and no functional back support. She almost smiled again. I stood and stretched. My shoulder cracked. Victoria winced. That sounded terrible. I'll survive. She put down her cup. There is coffee for you. I looked at the table. 1 cup. Black. No sugar. A splash of oat milk. Exactly how I drank it. I picked it up. How did you know? She looked confused. Know what? My coffee. You've worked with me for 2 years. So, you order the same thing every morning. I stared. You remember that? Victoria looked away. It's not difficult. Maybe. But I couldn't tell you what half my team drank. She walked toward her suitcase. Your blue tie is better for today. I stopped. What? The navy one. How do you know what ties I brought? You left the garment bag open. Right. She took out a folder. And don't wear the charcoal suit. Why, Mr. Wexler hates executives who dress like funeral directors. I laughed. How do you know that? He said it once. When? 3 years ago. I stared at her. Victoria remembered everything. Not just financial numbers. People. Details. Habits. Maybe that was why she was so good at what she did. Or maybe no. I wasn't going there. At 7:30. We arrived at Calderon Systems headquarters for the biggest negotiation Hale Dynamics had attempted that year. If we closed the partnership, Hale would gain exclusive access to a logistics platform our competitors had been chasing for months. Victoria became a different person the moment we entered the conference room. Cold, precise, untouchable. No trace of the woman who had blushed beside a hotel bed. For 3 hours, she dismantled every objection Calderon's team raised. When their CFO challenged our projected savings, she slid the modeling appendix across the table. Page 43. He checked. His face changed. When their legal director tried to shift liability onto Hale, Victoria didn't even look at the contract. Section 12.4 already assigns shared exposure based on system fault. The lawyer flipped pages. She was right. Again, I spent most of the meeting supporting her financial model. At 11:12, Calderon's CEO finally leaned back. We're closer. Victoria nodded. Closer isn't signed. He smiled. I heard you were difficult. I prefer expensive. The room laughed. I did too. Victoria didn't. But under the table, her shoe lightly touched mine. Accident? Probably. Then it stayed there. My brain stopped working for approximately 4 seconds. Victoria continued discussing data rights as if nothing had happened. At lunch, we had 12 minutes alone. I followed her into a private dining room. The door closed. Victoria immediately exhaled. That man is exhausting. I laughed. You were enjoying yourself. I enjoy winning. That's healthier. She removed her glasses. I hate wearing these. You look good in them. Silence. I regretted it instantly. Victoria looked at me. I cleared my throat. Professionally. That makes no sense. I know. She looked down, then smiled. A dangerous smile. You're worse when you're sober. I'm beginning to notice. Lunch arrived. She moved the plate of mushrooms from her salad onto mine. I stared. What? You like mushrooms? How do you know that? She froze. Again. I leaned forward. Victoria. What? How much do you actually notice about me? Her fork stopped. Too late. She looked toward the door, then back. Enough. What does that mean? She ignored the question. I thought about the coffee, the tie, the mushrooms, my birthday last year, when an anonymous bottle of 20-year whiskey appeared on my desk. I had assumed Marcus sent it. He denied it. I looked at her. Did you send the McAllen? Her expression betrayed her instantly. I stared. That was you. It was your birthday. You didn't sign the card. You would have made it weird. I laughed. You secretly sent me a $400 bottle of whiskey. But I would have made it weird. She lowered her voice. It wasn't 400. How much was it? Not important. Victoria, eat your lunch. I stared at her. She stared back. Then both of us started laughing. It felt dangerous. Too easy. Then her phone rang. The smile disappeared. Victoria answered. Hail. A man's voice came through the speaker. Victoria, we need to talk about Chicago. Her body stiffened. She immediately turned off speaker. Ethan. I looked away. Ethan Caldwell. I knew the name. Everyone in our industry did. Caldwell Holdings. Old money. Board connections. A family that had partnered with the Hales for decades. Victoria stood. This isn't a good time. His voice remained audible. It needs to be. Your father called me. Her jaw tightened. I'll call you later. Are you with Daniel? My head lifted. Victoria's eyes met mine. Then she said, yes. A pause. Long enough to matter. Ethan replied. Then definitely call me later. The line ended. Victoria slowly lowered the phone. I tried to sound casual. He knows me? She picked up her glasses. Yes. How? He asked questions. About your employees? Her face became unreadable. Sometimes. Something cold settled in my stomach. For the first time since the hotel room. I remembered there were parts of Victoria Hale's life I knew absolutely nothing about. And apparently Ethan Caldwell was one of them. Chapter 3 Don't Cross the Line. We returned to the hotel after 9. The Calderon negotiation had gone well. Not finished, but well. Normally, that would have been all I thought about. Instead, I kept thinking about Ethan Caldwell. Victoria noticed. Of course she did. You've been quiet for 20 minutes. I'm tired. You are never quiet when you're tired. I looked at her. How would you know? She pressed the elevator button. You become sarcastic. That's true. And you start loosening your tie every 5 minutes. I looked down. My tie was already half undone. Victoria smiled. Then the elevator doors opened. Inside the suite, she kicked off her heels and immediately looked less like the CEO of a billion-dollar company, more like someone exhausted. I opened my laptop. She looked at me. What are you doing? Tomorrow's revised forecast. It's 9:30. We need it at 8. I'll review it at 6. You'll review it after I finish it. Daniel. What? You haven't eaten. I had lunch. That was 8 hours ago. I'll order something. She walked to the hotel phone. I already did. I stopped. You did? On the way upstairs. What? Burger. No onions. Extra pickles. I stared. She turned. What? That's my order. Yes. You know my burger order. She looked annoyed. Apparently, this is becoming a theme. It is. Sit down. Victoria. What? I looked at her. You remember everything about me. She didn't answer. I continued. My coffee. Food. Birthday. Clothes. I remember things. You don't remember Marcus's birthday. I don't like Marcus. I laughed. That is incredibly unfair. He talks too much. He does. Room service arrived. Victoria waited until the waiter left. Then she sat opposite me at the dining table. I couldn't stop looking at her. Finally, she put down her fork. What? Nothing. You're doing it again. What? Thinking loudly. That isn't possible. With you. It is. I leaned back. Why didn't you ever say anything? About what? The party. Her expression changed. There it was. The thing both of us had been circling. You heard me say I liked you. Yes. And then nothing. You also did nothing. Because you're my CEO. So that is not a minor detail. Victoria's gaze sharpened. You think I would punish you for asking me to dinner? No? Then? I thought you would say no. Silence. She looked down. And suddenly I understood. You wanted me to ask. Victoria stood. Don't. Victoria. I said don't. She walked toward the window. I stayed seated. Why? Because this is exactly why I never said anything. What is? You work for me. I know. The board already thinks I protect you. I frowned. What? She turned. You think your promotion last year was easy? I stared. You earned it. But 2 directors objected because you travel with me too often. I didn't know that. You weren't supposed to. Why? Because I didn't want you questioning whether you deserved it. I stood. So you defended me. Yes. And that makes this impossible. Her voice dropped. It makes it dangerous. For both of us. I understood. And hated that I understood. I looked away. Then we should stop. Her face changed. Stop what, this? I gestured between us. Whatever this is. For a second, Victoria looked hurt. Then the CEO returned. Instantly. You're right. The words were too quick. Too cold. I nodded. Good. Good. I opened my laptop again. Neither of us spoke. That silence lasted almost 20 minutes. Then Victoria went into the bathroom. I heard the door lock. I stared at the forecast without reading a single number. At 11:14, her phone vibrated on the table. I ignored it. Then again, the screen lit up. I didn't mean to read it. I saw my name. A message thread. Not Ethan. Not her father. A note saved to herself. Daniel likes me. Do not make this his problem. My heart stopped. There were older notes. 3 months earlier. Annual party. He meant it. Probably. Don't ask. Then, he avoided me all week. Maybe embarrassed. Another, sent whiskey. Too much. Another, promotion approved. Make sure Caldwell doesn't imply favoritism. I stepped back. This wasn't curiosity anymore. It was private. I looked toward the bathroom. The door opened. Victoria came out. She saw the phone. Then my face. Everything stopped. You read that. Only the screen. Daniel. I didn't open it. She grabbed the phone. Her face was bright red. I am so sorry. You were writing notes about me? Forget it. I can't. Try. Victoria. She turned away. I said quietly, you like me too? She closed her eyes. Then her phone rang. Ethan Caldwell. Again. Victoria answered instantly. What? His voice came through clear enough for me to hear. The board meeting moved. She straightened. When? Friday. That makes no sense. It does if your father wants the partnership announcement first. What partnership? A pause. Then Ethan said, ours. Victoria's face went completely still. I felt something drop inside my chest. She turned away from me. Ethan, you knew this was coming. No. Your father thinks the Calderon deal gives us the right timing. For what? To announce the Caldwell-Hale strategic merger. Then he added, and the engagement framework. My hand tightened around the edge of the desk. Engagement. Victoria ended the call without another word. For several seconds. Neither of us moved. Finally, I asked, is that what he is? She looked at me. What? The man you're supposed to marry. Her silence answered before she did. Daniel. I stepped back. Forget I asked. No. It's fine. It isn't. You don't owe me an explanation. Her eyes flashed. You don't get to decide that. Then explain. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I waited. Finally, my father has been pushing it for years. Do you want it? No? Immediate. Absolute. The relief I felt was embarrassing. Then she added, but the board does. And suddenly the wrong room wasn't our biggest problem anymore. Chapter 4. Then why did you reject me? I slept badly again. Not because of the chaise. Because Victoria's words wouldn't leave me. The board does. At 6:15, I was already dressed. Victoria stood at the window in a dark green suit, reviewing Calderon's revised contract. No robe. No joking. The wall between us was back. I understood why. That didn't make it easier. We leave at 7. She said. I know. Calderon added a termination penalty. I saw it. Too high. I modeled a counter. Send it. Already did. She looked at her phone. There it was. A tiny pause. You finished at 4? Yes. You barely slept. Neither did you. She looked away. I put my laptop into my bag. Victoria. She didn't answer. We should clear one thing before the meeting. Her shoulders stiffened. What? I won't make this harder. She turned. What does that mean? It means whatever I said at the annual party doesn't matter. Her face hardened. Don't. You have a board. Family. An engagement plan. Not an engagement. Framework. That is not the same thing. To them. Maybe. To me. I looked at her. She took one step closer. You don't get to dismiss this because you're uncomfortable. I'm trying to protect you. Stop protecting me from choices I haven't made. The words hit. I stared. Victoria continued. You spent 3 months pretending you never said you liked me. I told you why. Because you assumed I'd reject you. Yes. Then yesterday you find out I didn't. And immediately you decide we should stop. Because the situation changed. No. Her voice sharpened. You got scared. I almost laughed. Of course I got scared. Why? Because you're Victoria Hale. Her expression tightened. I continued. You control a company worth billions. Your family negotiates marriages like acquisition terms. Yesterday, a man I've never met knew exactly who I was. That isn't my fault. I didn't say it was. Then stop acting like my life makes me impossible. Silence. She was breathing faster now. I lowered my voice. You want the truth? Yes. I liked you when I thought you would never notice me. Her eyes softened. That was safe. I nodded. And now you notice everything. Coffee, mushrooms, ties, birthdays, me. Victoria looked down. Then quietly. Why did you give up so easily? The same question from the night before. This time it landed differently. I stared at her. You think I gave up? You never even asked. You're my boss. You keep saying that like it's the only thing I am. I had no answer. She stepped closer. There were maybe 2 feet between us. I waited 3 months. For what? For you to say it sober. My heart slammed. Victoria. Once. She swallowed. Just once. Everything in me wanted to close the distance. Instead I asked, what happens afterward? She looked frustrated. Why do you always need the whole plan? Because this could cost you. It could cost you too. Exactly. I know. And you're still asking? Yes. I stared at her. Then I finally said it. I like you. Her eyes closed for half a second. When they opened, the CEO was gone again. Just Victoria. I know. No. I stepped closer. You heard me drunk. Her breathing changed. So I'll say it properly. I had no idea where the courage came from. I like you. Her lips parted. I've liked you for 2 years. I know you're difficult. I know you terrify half the company. I know you work too much and pretend coffee is breakfast. She almost smiled. And apparently you remember my burger order, which is deeply unsettling. She laughed softly. I continued. I like you anyway. Her eyes shone. Then someone knocked. 3 sharp hits. Victoria stepped away instantly. The moment shattered. I opened the door. A man stood outside. Tall. Expensive navy suit. Perfect hair. The kind of confidence that came from never wondering whether he belonged somewhere. He looked at me once. Then past me. Victoria. I knew immediately. Ethan Caldwell. Victoria's face became cold. What are you doing here? He walked into the suite as if he'd been invited. Saving your negotiation. We don't need saving. You always say that. His gaze moved to the room. Then the single bed. Then the chaise. Then me. Understanding appeared. Not shock. Amusement. Well, I disliked him instantly. Victoria stepped between us. Ethan. What? You arrived without calling. I called twice. I was busy. His eyes returned to me. With strategy, I said nothing. Victoria's voice became dangerous. Enough. Ethan smiled. Daniel. Right? Yes. Senior strategy manager. Yes. Good modeler. I stared. You've done research. I like knowing who works closely with Victoria. Victoria folded her arms. What do you want? Calderon's chairman called my father. Why? Because their financing partner got nervous. Victoria's expression changed. How nervous? They may delay signing. That wiped away everything personal. When? Meeting in 90 minutes. Reason? Credit exposure. I stepped toward the table. What changed? Ethan looked at me. Nothing you can fix. Victoria said coldly. He asked you a question. Ethan smiled faintly. The lender wants an additional guarantee. How much? I asked. 200 million. Victoria swore under her breath. I opened my laptop. Who is the lender? Ethan hesitated. Northbridge. I stopped. I knew that name. More importantly, I knew their debt structure. I had modeled it 6 months earlier during an abandoned Hale acquisition. If Northbridge wants 200, they aren't worried about Calderon. Victoria looked at me. What? They're worried about Hale's supplier concentration. Ethan's expression changed slightly. I continued. Specifically Asia-Pacific exposure. Victoria immediately understood. They're pricing geopolitical disruption. Yes. Ethan looked between us. How do you know? I was already typing. Because their covenant model weights concentration risk at 1.8. Victoria came beside me. Can we reduce it? Not honestly. Alternative, I pulled up a spreadsheet. Insurance-backed reserve. How much? Maybe 65 million. Ethan stared. That won't work. I looked up. Why? Northbridge won't accept it. Did they tell you that? No? Then let's ask. Victoria smiled. Not at Ethan. At me. Build it. 20 minutes. You have 15. That is unreasonable. I know. She turned toward Ethan. You wanted to save the negotiation? He smiled. Yes. Then get coffee. His face changed. I almost laughed. Victoria looked at me. Daniel. Yes, black. Oat milk. I stared. She smiled. Ethan noticed. And for the first time since he entered the room, he stopped looking amused. 15 minutes later, we walked into the Calderon meeting with a revised guarantee structure. 47 minutes after that, Northbridge accepted it. At 11:36 a.m. Calderon's CEO signed the memorandum. Victoria signed next. Then she handed me the pen. For the modeling appendix, I added my initials. Ethan stood near the window, silent. Calderon's CEO shook my hand. Excellent work. Thank you. Then he looked at Victoria. You have a good team. She glanced at me. Yes. Her voice softened. I know. My phone buzzed. An internal hail message. Board notice. Friday special SSO agenda. Strategic merger proposal. Hail Dynamics / Caldwell Holdings. Then a second line. Executive leadership succession and family governance alignment. I looked at Victoria. She had received the same message. Her face became completely unreadable. Ethan slipped his phone into his pocket. Looks like we're going home early. Victoria stared at him. No. He raised an eyebrow. No. She looked at me. Then back at Ethan. The Calderon deal is finished. Her voice hardened. But the rest of my life is not a board agenda. Ethan's smile disappeared. For the first time, I saw something in Victoria that had nothing to do with me. Not romance. Rebellion. And suddenly, I understood the real danger. This wasn't about whether she liked me. It was about whether Victoria Hale had ever been allowed to choose anything for herself. Volume 2. The man she was supposed to marry. Chapter 5. Her perfect match. By Friday morning, the entire executive floor knew something was wrong. Nobody knew exactly what. That was worse. People lowered their voices when Victoria walked past. Assistants suddenly found reasons to leave conference rooms. 2 vice presidents canceled meetings without explanation. And at 8:45, Marcus leaned over the divider beside my desk and whispered, "Why is Ethan Caldwell in our building?" I kept typing. Board meeting. That is not an answer. It is literally the answer. Marcus dragged a chair closer. He arrived with 3 lawyers. Strategic merger. And Victoria, CEO. He stared. You are being irritating on purpose. Yes. Did something happen in Chicago? I stopped typing. Marcus's eyes widened. Oh my God. Nothing happened. That is exactly what people say when something happened. There was 1 hotel room. His mouth dropped open. Daniel. Twin booking failed. Daniel. 1 bed. He slapped both hands over his face. This is the greatest day of my life. Nothing happened. He lowered his hands. You're disappointing me as a friend. Before I could answer, Claire from Victoria's office appeared. Daniel. Marcus rolled his chair away instantly. Coward. Claire looked at me. Ms. Hale wants you in boardroom A. Now, yes. I checked the time. The board meeting was supposed to start at 9. Am I presenting? No? That made my stomach tighten. Then why? Claire hesitated. She specifically asked for you. When I entered boardroom A, Ethan Caldwell was sitting beside Victoria's father. Charles Hale looked exactly like the portraits in the company lobby. Silver hair. Perfect posture. Expression permanently caught between disappointment and assessment. He had founded Hale Dynamics with Victoria's mother 33 years earlier and still controlled enough voting stock to make every board meeting feel like a family dinner with lawyers. Victoria sat at the opposite side of the table. She did not look at me. That bothered me more than if she had. 12 directors filled the remaining seats. Ethan gave me a polite nod. Daniel. Ethan. Charles looked toward Victoria. This is him. My stomach dropped. Victoria's head snapped up. Dad. What? You asked for Daniel because of the Calderon model. Charles turned toward me. Correct. Sure. Definitely. He pointed to a chair near the presentation screen. Sit. I sat. The meeting began with Calderon. That part went well. I presented the financing adjustment. Questions came. I answered them. 2 directors challenged the reserve structure. Victoria defended it. Ethan said almost nothing. Then the screen changed. Hale Caldwell Strategic Merger FRMWRK. The room changed with it. I felt Victoria go still. Charles began. Hale Dynamics has strong product and logistics capability. Caldwell has distribution, capital, and government contracting reach. One director nodded. Combined valuation, approximately 11.2 billion. Another asked, control? Charles looked at Ethan. Negotiable. Victoria finally spoke. No. Everyone turned. Charles frowned. No what? No merger discussion until governance terms are disclosed. They will be. Then disclose them. Charles's jaw tightened. Ethan intervened smoothly. Victoria, nobody is asking for a vote today. Then why are we here? To establish direction. Whose? Silence. Ethan leaned back. Ours. Victoria's expression cooled. There is no ours. Charles sighed. Victoria. She looked at him. This company does not merge because two families like the optics. This isn't about optics. Then remove the family governance provision. Nobody moved. I looked at the screen. A small line beneath the executive structure. Leadership continuity subject to family alignment agreement. I understood. So did everyone else. Victoria continued. You want the merger tied to a personal relationship. Charles's voice became quiet. Do not make this theatrical. You wrote it into the term sheet. Ethan said, the clause is preliminary. Delete it. Victoria, delete it. Charles leaned forward. You are 31 years old. You are responsible for thousands of employees. Sometimes personal preference is not the only consideration. Her face changed. Not much. Enough. I hated him for that sentence. Victoria said, then say what you mean. Charles looked around the table, then back at her. An engagement between you and Ethan would stabilize control. No one looked at me, which meant everyone was aware I was in the room. Excellent. Victoria laughed once. It was not amused. You called Daniel in to discuss a financing model and then announced my marriage. Charles's eyes shifted toward me. Mr. Brooks is an employee. There it was. Not rude. Worse. Categorical. A line drawn around me. Victoria's hands tightened. I stood. I can leave. No. She said immediately. Charles looked annoyed. Daniel. I looked at Victoria. Her eyes said stay. Everything else said go. I chose the company. The Calderon portion is complete. I said, you don't need me for governance. Victoria stared at me. I hated the hurt in her face. But I left. Outside. The hallway felt colder. Ethan followed 5 minutes later. I was at the coffee station. He poured water. You handled that well. I looked at him. Was that supposed to be a compliment? Yes. I'll survive without it. He smiled. I see why she likes you. My hand stopped. He continued. You're controlled. Unlike most men around Victoria. I turned toward him. Is this where you warn me away? No? That would be efficient. Ethan laughed softly. I don't need to warn you. Why? Because you'll do it yourself. I stared. He took a sip of water. You're smart enough to understand what happens if Victoria publicly chooses an employee while the board is negotiating a family merger. I am not asking her to choose me. Exactly. His smile widened. You'll step back. Something about the certainty in his voice made me angry. He continued. And she will hate you for it. You seem very confident. I've known Victoria since we were 14. That doesn't mean you know what she wants. No. He looked through the glass toward the boardroom. But I know what she gives up when she wants something. He left. I hated him because I wasn't sure he was wrong. The meeting ended at noon. Victoria came straight to my office. She closed the door. Why did you leave? I looked at my laptop. Because it was a board discussion. I asked you to stay. You shouldn't have. Her expression hardened. Excuse me. I don't belong in a discussion about your engagement. There is no engagement. The board thinks there should be. I don't care. You should. She stared. That sounds like Ethan. I looked up. He talked to you? In the hallway. What did he say? Nothing important. That means something important. I stood. Victoria. Calderon is done. We should focus on implementation. Her face went blank. CEO blank. Implementation. Yes. She nodded slowly. So that's what we're doing. What? Pretending. I exhaled. This isn't pretending. Yesterday you told me you liked me. I do. Then why are you suddenly talking like my accountant? Because yesterday we were in Chicago. And today? Today you're a CEO whose board just tried to turn your personal life into a merger clause. Her eyes flashed. And you think the solution is to make the choice for me? No? Yes. She stepped closer. You're deciding that I can't choose you because it might be inconvenient. I am deciding I won't be the reason they question your judgment. They already question my judgment. Then don't give them ammunition. Silence. Victoria looked hurt. Then angry. then worse. Calm. Fine. She opened the door. Back to work. Mr. Brooks. The title hurt more than it should have. Victoria. She didn't turn. Ms. Hale. Then she left. And just like that, the warm hotel room in Chicago disappeared. Chapter 6. I stepped back for the next 10 days. I did exactly what I had promised myself I would do. I stepped back. No late-night texts. No coffee brought to Victoria's office unless Claire requested it. No inside jokes during meetings. No lingering after everyone else left. No accidental dinners. Nothing personal. Professionally, we were perfect. That was the problem. Our work got better. Our conversations got worse. Forecast. Sent. Calderon implementation. On schedule. Northbridge. Approved. Thank you. You're welcome. That was us now. Marcus noticed by day 3. What did you do? Nothing. That answer is getting old. Good. You look miserable. Thank you. Victoria looks worse. I stopped. She does? Marcus smiled. Oh, I was asking objectively. Of course. He leaned closer. She nearly killed finance this morning. That sounds normal. She rejected a deck because page 19 used 2 different shades of blue. I looked toward the executive corridor. That is not normal. No. He pointed at me. You broke the CEO. I did not. You absolutely did. I ignored him. At noon, an internal announcement arrived. Hale Caldwell Strategic Review Committee FORAD Chair, Charles Hale. Co-chair, Ethan Caldwell. Victoria's name appeared third, not first. That was deliberate. The board was reducing her control over the merger. An hour later, Victoria called me in. She did not ask me to sit. Caldwell wants your modeling team assigned to the merger. I stared. Mine? Yes. Why? Because Calderon was strong. Okay. Her eyes narrowed. That's all. What do you want me to say? I don't know. I waited. She looked away. Ethan requested you personally. That was new. Then I assume he wants the best model. Victoria laughed bitterly. I hate when you do that. What? Pretend not to understand people. I frowned. He wants you close because he wants to know how close you are to me. My chest tightened. Then refuse. I did. Good. The board overruled me. We stared at each other. That was the first time I saw it clearly. This was no longer just uncomfortable. Victoria was losing authority. Not the CEO title. Not yet. But space. Decision by decision. Her father and Ethan were building a structure around her. Do you want me on the merger team? I asked. No. Then I'll decline. You can't. I can request reassignment. And prove Ethan's theory. What theory? That you're emotionally compromised. I laughed without humor. You mean you are? Her face hardened. He thinks both of us are. I looked at her. Is he wrong? Silence. She looked down. No. That honesty almost pulled me back toward her. Almost. I said quietly. Then maybe distance is the right move. Her head lifted. You really believe that? I believe you need room to fight your board. And you think disappearing helps. I am not disappearing. You are sitting 6 floors below me acting like we barely know each other. Because everyone is watching. Let them. I can't. Her face tightened. Why? Because if you lose your position, I don't want to wonder if I caused it. She stared at me, then said something that hurt. You think this is about you? I went still. Victoria continued. My father was controlling my life before you joined the company. Ethan was being proposed as a husband before I knew your coffee order. Her voice shook slightly. You stepping away doesn't save me. I didn't know what to say. She opened a file. The meeting was over. Merger model kickoff is at 4. I'll be there. Good. I turned. Daniel. I stopped. She didn't look at me. I wish you'd trusted me enough to stay. I left before I answered. Ethan ran the merger kickoff like a campaign. Timelines. Synergies. Control scenarios. He gave me direct responsibility for combined operating forecasts. For 3 days. He was professional. On the 4th, he tried something else. Dinner. I looked up from my laptop. What? Working dinner. With you and me. No. He laughed. Daniel, I'll send the model. I want to discuss assumptions. Invite finance. I don't need finance. Then invite Victoria. His smile disappeared. That's the problem. I closed my laptop. What do you want? The truth. That would be refreshing. Ethan leaned against the conference table. Victoria is prepared to reject a merger worth billions partly because she feels controlled. That sounds reasonable. Partly because of you. No. You make rebellion feel romantic. I laughed. That is ridiculous. Is it? He studied me. Before Chicago. She resisted our family arrangement quietly. After Chicago, she started attacking every clause publicly. You think I radicalized her in a hotel room? His eyebrows lifted. Interesting choice of words. Don't. He smiled, then became serious. I don't hate you. Comforting. But I think you were temporary. That annoyed me. Based on, Victoria likes people she can protect. I stared. She promoted you. I earned it. I know. He nodded. That isn't what I said. The meaning arrived. I hated it. He continued. She notices people who need things. I don't need her. Exactly. So your theory makes no sense. My theory is that the moment you become a threat to her position, you'll leave. I stood. You've said that before. And you already did. The words hit. I walked out. At 7:30, I found Victoria alone in the boardroom. She was staring at a merger forecast. You're still here. So are you. I placed a revised model beside her. Control sensitivity. She glanced at it. Then me. You should go home. So should you. Silence. I turned toward the door. Daniel. I looked back. She asked quietly, if I wasn't CEO, would you still be doing this? What? Keeping away. I thought about it. No. Her eyes lowered. Good to know. Then my phone rang. Marcus. I answered. What's wrong? His voice was tense. Security is looking for you. Why? Internal investigation. My stomach dropped. For what? He hesitated. Calderon documents were leaked. Victoria stood instantly. What? Marcus continued. And the access log shows they were downloaded from your credentials. The room went silent. For 10 days. I had been afraid being close to Victoria might damage her career. Suddenly, we had a much bigger problem. Someone had just made me look like a corporate spy. Chapter 7, the deal that could cost her everything. Security confiscated my laptop at 8:12 p.m. At 8:19, legal suspended my system access. At 8:31, I was sitting in a glass conference room with 2 attorneys. The chief security officer, Victoria, and Ethan. Nobody offered coffee. Bad sign. The security chief placed a report on the screen. 11:43 p.m. Tuesday. My username. A Calderon implementation package. Downloaded. External transfer detected 12 minutes later. I stared. I wasn't in the office Tuesday night. We know. Then, remote login. From where? VPN. Device, registered laptop. The one you just took? Yes. I looked at Victoria. She was unreadable. Ethan asked, could somebody have had access? No. Password? No. Shared credentials? Never. The attorney spoke. Daniel. The leaked material includes pricing terms not yet public. I understand. Calderon may terminate. My stomach tightened. How did they know? An anonymous email was sent to one of their competitors. I sat back. This wasn't accidental. Someone wanted damage and wanted my name attached. Ethan folded his hands. Under policy, he should be suspended immediately. Victoria's eyes moved to him. Paid administrative leave. Same practical result. No. Ethan's jaw tightened. Victoria. She looked at security. Do you have evidence Daniel physically made the transfer? No. Evidence he received payment? No. Communication with the competitor? No. Then you have credentials? Yes. Which can be compromised. Ethan said, or used. Victoria looked at him. You've made your point. The attorney cleared his throat. There is another issue. Of course there was. A second screen appeared. A text message. From my phone. To an unknown number. Calderon packet is ready. Check after midnight. I stared. That isn't mine. It came from your cloud backup. No. Ethan leaned back. Victoria looked at me. Not suspicious. Worried. I said, I didn't send it. I know. Ethan immediately replied, you don't know? Victoria turned on him. I know Daniel. The room went still. There it was. The exact sentence everyone had been waiting for. Her personal judgment. Ethan saw the opening. So this is your position as CEO? Victoria's eyes hardened. My position is that evidence should be verified. Charles Hale entered before anyone answered. He had clearly been briefed. He looked at the screen, then at me. This is unacceptable. Victoria stood. It's unproven. It is on his device. Credentials. Phone. Cloud record. Charles looked at her. You are not helping yourself. She froze. There. Not helping the company. Herself. The conflict. Charles continued. The merger committee meets tomorrow. If you appear to protect an employee with whom you have a personal relationship, there is no declared relationship. Don't play semantics. I stood. Mr. Hale. Everyone looked at me. I will accept suspension. Victoria turned. No. I ignored her. Until security completes review. Daniel. I looked at her. This is exactly why. Her face changed. I continued. If you protect me, they will make this about you. Ethan said nothing. He didn't need to. Victoria stared at me. You didn't do this. No. Then why are you accepting punishment? Because suspension isn't guilt. Charles nodded once. Reasonable. Victoria looked at him like she wanted to burn the building down. The attorney prepared a form. I signed. Temporary suspension. System access revoked. Building access restricted. Then the attorney slid another document forward. Management acknowledgement. Victoria read it. Her expression changed. No. Charles said. Standard. No. I looked. The document stated that Hale Dynamics had placed me on leave due to a credible preliminary finding of unauthorized disclosure. Not neutral. Credible. That language would destroy me if leaked. Victoria pushed it back. Rewrite. Charles's voice cooled. The board expects clear action. The board can expect accuracy. Ethan said, Victoria, this protects the company. No. It protects the merger. Silence. Charles stared at his daughter. This is not the time for rebellion. She laughed softly. Apparently it never is. Then she took the document. Tore it in half. Everyone froze. Victoria looked at legal. Daniel Brooks is placed on paid administrative leave pending forensic review. No finding of wrongdoing. No disciplinary conclusion. Write that. The attorney nodded. Charles's face darkened. You are risking the chair. Victoria looked directly at him. If Daniel betrayed the company, I will take responsibility for trusting him. My heart slammed. Then, but until you prove it. Nobody turns suspicion into guilt. Ethan stood. This is emotional. Victoria turned. No. Her voice was quiet now. This is due process. Charles walked toward the door. Tomorrow's board meeting will determine whether the rest of us agree. Then he left. The room emptied slowly. Ethan paused beside me. You wanted distance. I looked at him. Congratulations. Then he followed Charles. Victoria and I were alone. I said, you shouldn't have done that. She laughed without humor. Of course. You could lose your position. I know. Victoria. She stepped closer. No. What? You don't get to tell me to step away anymore. I stared. She continued. You were framed. We don't know that. I do. How? Because Tuesday night you were with me. I stopped. What? She looked uncomfortable. At 11:43. I searched my memory. Tuesday night. Merger model. We had barely spoken. Then, conference call. We had worked remotely. Separate apartments. Victoria. She took out her phone. You called me at 11:21. I remembered. We argued about revenue assumptions for 39 minutes. Until midnight. Yes. That proves I wasn't sending files. No. But, you were screen sharing. My eyes widened. All night. She nodded. Your desktop is visible in the meeting recording. My pulse accelerated. Then why didn't you say that in there? Because Ethan knows I was with you. So, not personally. Her expression sharpened. He doesn't know the call was recorded. I understood. You think the person who framed me is close to the merger committee? Yes. Then telling them gives them time to alter the next piece. Victoria nodded. For the first time in 10 days. We were working together again. And whoever had framed me had just made a mistake. They thought Victoria's feelings made her weak. They didn't understand that the woman I liked most was also the most dangerous strategist I had ever met. Chapter 8, She Chose Meth Board meeting began at 9 the next morning. I wasn't allowed in. Officially. Unofficially. Victoria had me in a private conference room across town with Marcus. One forensic consultant. And access to exactly one thing. The recorded screen share from Tuesday night. At 9:04. The consultant paused the footage. There. My desktop clock. 11:43 p.m. My cursor was inside an Excel model. No file transfer. No Calderon folder open. At 11:45. Same. 11:50. Same. 12:03. Call ended. But the security log says 11:43. I said, yes. So cloned credentials. Likely. Device fingerprint. He enlarged the VPN record. Then frowned. Interesting. What? Laptop ID matches yours. My stomach tightened. Marcus leaned closer. Can that be cloned? Harder. Harder isn't impossible. No. The consultant pulled hardware enrollment records. 2 devices. One assigned to me. One retired 6 months earlier. Same model family. Different serial. He froze. What? The device certificate wasn't cloned. What then reissued? To whom? He checked, then looked at us. Temporary merger office pool. Marcus swore. Who controls that? I already knew. Strategic Review Committee. Ethan's team. My phone rang. Victoria. I answered. Tell me you found something. Old device certificate reissued to merger office pool. Silence. Then, who authorized? We're checking. In the background, I heard voices. The board. Victoria lowered hers. They've moved for a no confidence vote. My chest tightened. On you? Yes. Because of me. Because they finally found an excuse. I stood. Withdraw your objection. No. Victoria. No. You could lose everything. Her voice became calm. I am not firing an innocent employee to make people comfortable. You don't know I'm innocent. I know enough. The line went quiet. Then she said, and Daniel? Yes. Stop deciding what I'm allowed to risk. The call ended. I stared at the phone. Marcus whispered, I like her. Not now. I do. The consultant interrupted. Found authorization. We both turned. He brought up the device management form. Temporary certificate reissue. Requested by Office of Strategic Integration, approved by Graham Price, Senior Systems Administrator, who requested from integration. The consultant opened metadata. A delegated account. Caldwell Project Management. Not Ethan personally. A woman named Laura Finch. I knew the name. Ethan's chief of staff. Marcus said, call security. Not yet. He stared. Why? Because if Laura did this, we need to know whether Ethan knew. My phone buzzed. Victoria again. This time a text. Vote in 12 minutes. Payoff. New hook. We had enough to clear me. Not enough to explain who framed me. I called her. Victoria. Talk. We can prove the download came through a reissued device certificate controlled by the merger office. Silence. Can you prove who used it? No? Can you clear yourself? Yes. Send it. I am. She exhaled. Then, Daniel? Yes, if this saves me. I'm going to be very angry. I almost laughed. Why? Because you were right about one thing. What? This could cost me. I closed my eyes. Victoria, but you were wrong about the rest. The line disconnected. At 9:53, the forensic report reached the board. At 10:11, the no confidence motion failed. 6-5, one abstention. Victoria remained CEO. Barely. At 10:20, my suspension was converted to investigatory leave with a formal statement that no evidence tied me personally to the leak. At 10:34, Calderon agreed not to terminate while the investigation continued. And at 10:41, Marcus found the thing that changed everything. He was reviewing Laura Finch's calendar. Daniel. I looked up. What look? A private appointment. Tuesday, 10:30 p.m. M. Location, Hale Tower. 21st floor. Attendees, Laura Finch. And one internal guest. Name hidden. But the badge ID was visible. The consultant traced it. The room went silent. The badge belonged to Charles Hale, Victoria's father. I stared at the screen. Marcus whispered, that's bad. Yes, because Ethan being involved would have been simple. An ambitious rival. A merger. A woman he wanted to marry. But Charles Hale, the man trying to protect his daughter, the founder of the company, the person who had just demanded I be sacrificed to save the merger. My phone vibrated. A message from Victoria. Board survived. Come back when security clears you. I stared at it. Then typed, we found something else. 3 dots. What? I looked at Charles Hale's badge ID. For the first time, I didn't know whether telling Victoria the truth would save her or destroy the last part of her family she still trusted. I typed, your father was in the merger office the night my credentials were used. The reply didn't come for almost a minute. Then, don't tell anyone else yet. A second message followed. I'm coming to you. And suddenly the leak was no longer about my career. It was about whether Victoria's father had framed the man she trusted to force her back into the life he had already chosen for her. Volume 3, this time. Say it clearly, Chapter 9. I was never just her assistant. Victoria arrived 27 minutes after I sent the message. She didn't bring security. She didn't bring legal. She didn't bring Ethan. She walked into the small conference room alone, still wearing the dark navy suit from the board meeting. Her face was completely calm. That frightened me more than anger would have. Marcus immediately stood. I should go? Yes, Victoria said. He looked at me. I nodded. The forensic consultant left with him. The door closed. Victoria looked at the screen. Charles Hale's badge record was still displayed. Tuesday, 10:30 p.m. M. 21st floor. Merger office. She read it twice, then asked, could it be falsified? Possible. How possible? Not very. Could someone have used his badge? Yes. Who? We don't know. She nodded. No denial. No immediate defense. Just questions. That was Victoria. I said quietly, you don't have to assume the worst. Her eyes moved to me. I don't. Good. I assume nothing. She walked to the table. Show me everything. I did. The retired laptop certificate. The temporary merger pool. Laura Finch's authorization. The access timestamp. My screen share recording proving my actual laptop was being used elsewhere. Then Charles's badge. Victoria listened without interrupting. At the end, she sat down. My father knew you were being investigated before the board meeting. Yes. He pushed for your suspension. Yes. And he was physically on the floor where the credential was issued. Yes. Her fingers tightened. That still isn't proof. No. She looked at me. Thank you. For what? For not saying it is. I sat opposite her. For 10 days. I had been trying to protect Victoria by staying away. Now she looked more alone than she had in Chicago. I finally understood how insulting that had been. Distance wasn't always protection. Sometimes it was abandonment with good intentions. What do you want to do? I asked. Nothing. I blinked. Nothing. Not yet. She looked toward the screen. If Dad did this, confronting him gives him time to explain. Or destroy evidence. Yes. If he didn't, confronting him still warns the real person. Exactly. A faint smile appeared. You're learning. I had a terrifying teacher. She looked at me. For 1 second, the tension changed. Then her phone rang. Ethan. She ignored it. It rang again. Take it. No. Victoria. He can wait. That isn't strategic. She gave me a look. You are ruining a perfectly good romantic moment. I stared. That was romantic. It could have been. Despite everything. I laughed. She answered the phone. What? Ethan's voice was loud enough for me to hear. Your father wants an emergency merger meeting. When now? Why? Because the board survived by 1 vote. Victoria's face became cold again. Ethan continued. He wants the engagement clause removed. She went still. What? I said he wants it removed. Why? Come upstairs. The call ended. I looked at her. That sounds good. No. Why? My father doesn't surrender. She stood. If he is suddenly giving me exactly what I demanded, he wants something bigger. We returned to Hale Tower together. Security cleared my temporary entry after 20 minutes. When the elevator opened on the executive floor, employees stared. Some looked relieved, some curious, some disappointed. Office politics was a spectator sport. Charles Hale waited in boardroom C with Ethan and 3 directors. No Laura Finch. That mattered. Charles looked at me. His expression tightened. Why is he here? Victoria sat. Because Daniel's investigation is now directly relevant to merger governance. His investigation? Yes. Charles looked at Ethan. Ethan looked genuinely confused. Good. Victoria continued. You wanted to remove the engagement language. Charles folded his hands. I've reconsidered. Why? Because forcing the issue has become counterproductive. She stared. That sentence does not sound like you. I am capable of adapting. Ethan leaned forward. The merger can proceed without personal terms. I looked at him. He seemed sincere. Maybe he had never wanted the engagement either. Interesting. Charles continued. In exchange, we need accelerated approval. There it was. How accelerated? Victoria asked. 48 hours. She laughed. No. Victoria, you want me to approve an $11 billion merger in 2 days? Framework approval. Still no? Charles's jaw tightened. We have a market window. No. Your refusal could cost shareholders hundreds of millions. Then show me the urgency. He slid a folder across the table. Caldwell financing commitments. Expiring Monday. I opened the appendix. Victoria looked at me. I scanned the numbers. Something felt wrong. Not fraud. Structure. Ethan. He looked at me. What? Why is Caldwell using preferred equity here? To bridge the acquisition. But the merger is presented as stock for stock. It is. Then why is there a liquidation preference? The room changed. Ethan took the folder. He read. His face tightened. That wasn't in my version. Charles looked annoyed. It's standard bridge protection. No. I said. He turned toward me. It gives Caldwell priority claim if Hale's valuation drops during integration. Charles's voice sharpened. You are a strategy manager, not counsel. No. I looked at Victoria, but I built the downside model. Then back at Charles. If Hale misses the first-year EBITDA threshold, Caldwell's preferred position converts at a discount. Ethan's expression changed. How large? I calculated quickly. Potentially enough to shift effective control. Victoria went completely still. Charles said, "That is a remote scenario." I looked at him. "Then remove it." Silence. Ethan turned to Charles. "You told me this was equal governance." "It is." "No." Ethan's voice hardened. "It isn't." For the first time, Ethan Caldwell looked less like the man Victoria was supposed to marry and more like a partner discovering he'd been used to. Victoria closed the folder. Meeting over. Charles stood. "You are making a serious mistake." "No." She looked at him. "I am finally reading the whole document." His face went cold. She continued. "And apparently Daniel is the only person in this room who bothered to model what happens if things go wrong." Charles looked at me. There was real dislike now. Not because I liked his daughter. Because I had become inconvenient. That was more useful. He left. Ethan remained. Victoria looked at him. "Did you know?" "No. I need more than that." He opened his laptop. "You'll have it." I watched him. Maybe we had been wrong about the enemy. Maybe there wasn't one villain. Maybe there was one man who believed every person around him was a variable. Ethan looked at me. "You were right. About the model. That's not an apology." He almost smiled. "Don't get greedy." Victoria stood. "We have 36 hours before Charles tries something else." I asked, "What do we have?" She looked at me. "A merger proposal. A pause. A leak. Another. And a father who thinks everyone else is slower than he is." I closed my laptop. "Then let's disappoint him." Chapter 10: The Trap. We decided to make Victoria and me look broken. It was surprisingly easy. People already wanted to believe it. By noon, Victoria publicly reassigned the merger model away from my team. At 12:15, Claire sent an internal memo stating that my return from investigatory leave did not restore access to strategic integration files. At 12:40, Marcus loudly asked me in the cafeteria whether I was finally done being Hale's favorite. I told him his acting was terrible. He told me to suffer quietly. By 2, internal chat had decided Victoria blamed me for the leak. By 4, someone reported that I had cleared personal items from my desk. That part was true. I moved them into a box for visual effect. The plant looked offended. Our goal was simple: feed the merger office a fake weakness. A revised financing model labeled Project Cedar suggested Hale would accept the Caldwell preferred equity structure if one condition changed. The condition was fake. The file contained unique tracking markers. If someone transmitted it externally, we would know. Only 5 people had access. Victoria, me, Ethan, Charles, Laura Finch. At 8:07 p.m. The file moved. Not by email. Printed. Printer 21C. Merger office. At 8:19, Laura Finch left the building carrying a document case. Security followed discreetly. At 9:02, she entered a private club near Lake Michigan. At 9:18, Charles Hale arrived. Victoria watched the security feed from her office. She didn't move. I stood beside her. "You okay?" "No." "Want me to stop asking?" "No." She watched her father enter the club, then said, "He taught me chess when I was 6. I waited. He never let me win." "That sounds healthy." He said, "False victories make weak people." Her voice tightened. I spent 25 years thinking that meant he respected me. I said quietly, "Maybe he did." She looked at me. "You're defending him?" "No." "Then, people can love badly." That hurt her. I saw it. Because she understood exactly what I meant. Her phone buzzed. Ethan. He had traced the Caldwell financing documents independently. He joined by video. "I found something." "What?" "The preferred equity amendment originated from Charles's external counsel." Victoria closed her eyes. Ethan continued. "My father never approved it." I looked at him. "So Caldwell family didn't request control shift?" "No." "Then Charles inserted it?" "Yes." "Why?" Ethan's expression hardened. "Because if Hale underperformed, he could trigger the conversion and then negotiate voting control through a private side agreement." Victoria whispered. "With whom?" Ethan didn't answer immediately. "Then, my uncle." That complicated things. Caldwell was not innocent, just divided. Victoria leaned back. "So Dad was prepared to weaken Hale to keep personal control after the merger?" "Yes." "And the engagement clause?" "Optics." Ethan's mouth twisted. He wanted markets to think the families were aligned while he structured real control privately. Victoria laughed. It sounded exhausted. Romantic. At 9:46. Security called. Laura had left the club. Charles stayed. No exchange visible. I looked at Victoria. He may have received the fake file inside. Probably. What now? We wait. At 10:11. Project Cedar's tracking marker triggered. External document management system. A law firm. Then forwarded to an investment vehicle affiliated with Ethan's uncle. There. Evidence of the confidential merger document leaving Hale through Charles's channel. But not the Calderon leak. Different question. Different crime. Payoff. New hook. I said, this proves he leaked Cedar. Victoria nodded. Not that he framed you. Exactly. Then Ethan's screen froze. A second later. He came back. Wait. He was reading something. What? Laura Finch just emailed me. Victoria straightened. Why? Ethan's face changed. She says Charles didn't frame Daniel. I stared. What does she say? He read. I issued the temporary device because Mr. Hale requested access to the merger office. The Calderon upload occurred after he left. I know who used the device. Victoria whispered. Who? Ethan opened the attachment. Security still image. 11:39 p.m. A man entering the merger office. Not Charles. Not Laura. I recognized him. Graham Price. Senior Systems Administrator. The man who approved the certificate. Marcus's theory had been too narrow. I said, why would IT frame me? Victoria was already moving. Find him. Security called his office. Empty. Home. No answer. Company phone. Off. At 10:30. Security checked building exit logs. Graham had left Hale Tower at 6:14 p.m. Hours before we began the trap. At 10:41. His corporate card showed a train ticket. Chicago to Milwaukee. One way. Marcus called me. You're going to love this. That sentence has never ended well. Price has debt. How much? Gambling. Victoria looked at me. I put the call on speaker. Marcus continued. Roughly 300,000. Maybe more. Ethan asked. Who paid it? That is the fun part. Marcus. A consulting LLC. Name. Finch Strategic Advisory. We all looked at one another. Laura. Or someone using her name. Victoria said. Where is Laura now? Security answered. Her apartment. At least her phone was. We drove there with company security. Laura opened the door wearing sweatpants and looked genuinely terrified when Victoria stepped inside. I didn't pay Graham. Your company did. What company? Finch Strategic Advisory. Her face emptied. I don't have a company. That was believable. We checked. LLC formed 6 months earlier. Registered through an online service. Identity documents used. Laura Finch. She stared at the filing. Those are from HR. Victoria looked at me. Someone had access to employee records. Someone who could create a fake company in Laura's name. Pay Graham. Use him to frame me. Then let evidence point back toward Laura. Layers. The same person who understood both IT and corporate governance. Laura whispered, Charles didn't do this. Victoria asked, how do you know? Because he asked me to issue the device certificate Tuesday afternoon. For what? He wanted to review merger documents without leaving an audit trail on his executive laptop. Victoria's face hardened. That was still misconduct. But not the Calderon transfer. He left around 11:10. And Price entered at 11:39. Yes. Who else knew the certificate existed? Laura hesitated. Ethan's office. Ethan went still. What? She looked at him. Your project coordinator requested the device inventory Wednesday. My coordinator, Rachel Morris. Ethan stared. I fired Rachel last month. Silence. Laura looked confused. No. She resigned from Caldwell. Then who has been using her integration account? Nobody spoke. Victoria slowly turned toward me. There it was. Not family. Not romance. Not engagement. An external compromise hiding inside the merger structure. I said, the leak wasn't meant to destroy me. Victoria understood. It was meant to destabilize the merger. Ethan looked pale. And make Hale and Caldwell blame each other. Exactly. The enemy wasn't trying to marry Victoria. They were trying to make both companies weaker. Chapter 11, she didn't need a marriage deal. Rachel Morris worked for Northstar Ridge Capital. We discovered that at 4:20 the next morning. Northstar Ridge was not a competitor in the usual sense. It was an activist fund. It had quietly accumulated options tied to Hale Dynamics over the previous 4 months. If Hale stock dropped after a failed merger and Calderon collapse. Northstar Ridge stood to make tens of millions. Rachel had left Caldwell, joined one of their consulting affiliates, and retained access to an old integration account that had never been disabled. Graham Price supplied credentials. The fake Laura company paid his gambling debts. Charles's secret merger manipulation created perfect cover. Everyone had enough hidden behavior to make everyone else look guilty. At 9, Victoria called an emergency board session. This time, I wasn't invited. Not at first. She wanted the opening alone. I waited outside with Ethan. He looked terrible. You sleep? No. Same. He glanced at me. Still hate me? Less efficiently. I'll take it. Inside, voices rose. Charles. Victoria. Board members. Then Claire opened the door. Daniel. I entered. Victoria stood beside the main screen. Her father sat at the far end. For the first time, Charles Hale looked uncertain. Victoria said, Daniel, present the leak findings. I did. No drama. Access logs. Fake LLC. Graham Price payments. Rachel's account. Northstar Ridge short exposure. The Calderon leak. Then Project Cedar. I separated them carefully. Charles Hale's unauthorized merger disclosure and the Calderon espionage were different events. Charles looked at me, maybe surprised I didn't combine them. I continued. Mr. Hale's actions created a serious governance problem, but current evidence does not show that he framed me. Victoria's eyes flickered. That mattered to her. Then Ethan presented the financing amendment. Charles's side agreement. Caldwell uncle. Control shift. By noon, the strategic merger was suspended. Not rejected. Suspended pending independent review. The engagement clause was removed permanently. Unanimously, Charles resigned as chair of the merger committee. Not voluntarily. The board voted 10-2. He remained a director. For now, after the meeting, Victoria found him alone in the hallway. I should have left. I didn't. Neither did Ethan. Charles looked at his daughter. You embarrassed me. Victoria didn't flinch. You tried to use my marriage as a governance mechanism. I was protecting the company. No. Her voice stayed calm. You were protecting control. Charles looked tired. You think they will respect you more now? I don't know. You think Brooks makes you stronger? Victoria glanced at me. Then back at him. This isn't about Daniel. Charles laughed bitterly. It always becomes about the man. No. Her voice sharpened. That is the mistake you've made my entire life. He stopped. You think every choice I make must be explained by which man influenced me. Victoria stepped closer. You. Ethan. Daniel. She shook her head. Maybe I disagree because I disagree. Charles stared. Victoria continued. Maybe I don't want an arranged marriage because I don't want one. A breath. Maybe I don't want your merger structure because it is bad. Another. And maybe I like Daniel because I chose him. My heart slammed. Charles looked at me. Then at her. You're admitting that here. Yes. Do you understand the risk? Yes. And Victoria looked at me again. Then something changed in her face. She smiled slightly. I've spent a month understanding the risk. Charles left without answering. Ethan waited until he was gone. Then, well, Victoria looked at him. What? You chose him? She folded her arms. I did not choose you. That was established. He smiled. Then looked at me. Congratulations. For you are now officially the least convenient man in Chicago. I've been working toward it. Ethan laughed. Then he left. I looked at Victoria. You said you chose me. Yes. You realize I was standing here. I noticed. That is a terrible way to handle workplace disclosures. She rolled her eyes. Daniel. What? Ask me something. I knew what she meant. But I didn't ask. Not yet. Because her job had survived by 1 vote days earlier. Because security was still investigating. Because I didn't want our first real decision to happen in the hallway after a corporate war. I want to. Her eyes softened. But, no but. I stepped closer. Just not here. She stared at me. Then smiled. Good answer. I smiled back. And Victoria? Yes, I wasn't just your assistant. You were never my assistant. You know what I mean. I do. She looked toward the boardroom. They underestimated you. So did I? Her eyebrows lifted. How? I thought protecting you meant leaving. Her expression softened. And now I think it means staying when staying is harder. She didn't say anything. She just reached for my hand. For 3 seconds. Then released it before anyone walked around the corner. It was enough. For now. Chapter 12. King bed again 4 months later. Victoria and I went back to Chicago. Different client. Different negotiation. Same hotel. I noticed before she did. At least I pretended I did. The receptionist smiled. Welcome back, Ms. Hale. Mr. Brooks. Victoria looked at me. Don't. I didn't say anything. You're smiling. I have a face. Unfortunately, the receptionist checked our reservation. 2 rooms. I nodded. Correct. Victoria looked at me. I ignored her. The receptionist continued. Both king rooms. Perfect. Victoria's eyebrows lifted. I smiled innocently. After Northstar Ridge's scheme collapsed, Hale Dynamics avoided the Calderon termination and canceled the rushed Caldwell merger. Rachel Morris was arrested on fraud and unauthorized access charges. Graham Price entered a cooperation agreement. Charles Hale took a 6-month leave from the board. He and Victoria spoke once a week. Usually badly, but they spoke. Ethan returned to Caldwell Holdings and somehow became my friend despite my efforts to prevent it. He texted too much. Marcus liked him. That made it worse. And Victoria? She remained CEO. No engagement. No family merger. No governance clause determining who she ate dinner with. The board adopted a formal relationship disclosure policy after what Charles called an unnecessary amount of legal drama. Victoria and I filed ours 3 months earlier. Our reporting structure changed. I moved into strategic ventures under the COO. I earned a promotion 6 weeks later. Victoria recused herself from the vote. She complained about that. I enjoyed it. We had gone on 11 dates. Victoria had canceled 3 because of work. I had canceled 1. She was still offended. The receptionist handed us 2 key cards. Victoria took both. Thank you. We entered the elevator. I pressed 23. She looked at the cards. 2 rooms. Yes. Very professional. Thank you. I didn't mean it as praise. I know. The doors opened. Our rooms were opposite each other. I unlocked mine. Victoria stood in the hallway. Aren't you going to ask? I turned. Ask what? Her eyes narrowed. You know, I don't. She crossed her arms. Daniel. Victoria. You have been waiting for months. For? Her expression became dangerous. Fine. She walked toward her room. I laughed. Wait. She stopped. I walked closer. No board. No. No merger. No. No father waiting behind a conference door. Hopefully. No Ethan. She smiled. Definitely. I looked at her. Victoria Hale. Yes? Would you like to have dinner with me tonight? She stared. That is what I waited 4 months for. No. I took another step. That was the warm-up. Her cheeks turned pink. There she was. Not the CEO. The woman from the hotel room. Would you like to be my girlfriend? Victoria blinked. Then, you are terrible at this. I laughed. I am trying to be clear. You could have said that 3 months ago. I was building suspense. You were being annoying. Also true. She looked at me. Yes. My heart stopped anyway. Yes, yes. I smiled. Victoria pointed at me. Do not make me repeat myself. I wouldn't dare. She took my tie, pulled me closer, then paused. Can I kiss you? That surprised me. You're asking? The legal department has traumatized me. I laughed. Yes. She kissed me. No boardroom. No scandal. No hotel misunderstanding. Just us. When we finally separated, Victoria looked toward our 2 doors, then frowned. This is inefficient. What? 2 rooms. I laughed. You insisted we follow policy. We disclosed the relationship. Yes. So, Victoria. She took out her phone. What are you doing? Calling reception. Why? She pressed the button. Hello. This is Victoria Hale in 2314. I stared. She continued. Do you have a suite available? A pause. Her eyes stayed on mine. Good. Another pause. 1 king bed is fine. My mouth opened. She ended the call. Didn't you once say sharing 1 bed with your CEO was a disaster? You were my CEO. I still am a CEO. Not mine. Her smile softened. No. That word mattered. Not mine. Not my boss. Not my family's choice. Not Ethan's future wife. Not Charles Hale's succession plan. Victoria. Just Victoria. The new suite was on 28. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped out first, then looked back. Coming. I am thinking. Dangerous. Very. Inside the room was 1 king bed. Of course. Victoria put down her bag, then turned toward me. Well what? Her cheeks slowly became pink. Last time we were here, you said you liked me. I remember. You said it twice. You counted. I remember things. I smiled. So I've noticed. She walked toward me. This time. Say it properly. I stopped smiling. Because she wasn't joking anymore. Neither was I. I love you. Victoria went completely still. The confident CEO who could negotiate billion-dollar agreements without looking at notes suddenly looked like she had forgotten every word in the English language. I waited. Her eyes filled. Then she laughed softly. That was too proper. You asked. I know. She touched my face. I love you too. I closed my eyes for 1 second. Months earlier, I thought liking Victoria Hale was safe only because it could never become real. Then I thought loving her meant I had to protect her by leaving. I had been wrong twice. Love wasn't pretending the risk didn't exist. It wasn't becoming someone's shield. And it wasn't deciding what another person could afford to lose. Sometimes love was simpler. Tell the truth. Stay. Let the other person choose. Victoria rested her forehead against mine. Daniel. Yes. Next trip. What? Book one room. I laughed. Twin beds? She pulled my tie again. One king. And this time, neither of us pretended it was a mistake.